a small project, but for you, you have to do something real time on each and everything, and a constant effort from your side. So it will take some time of good practice will make you at least 4 years of experience. Now, something client requests the server, right? When the client requests the server, what the server will do? Client requests the server. What the server should do? Server should do something called respond. Server should do something called respond. Let's try. Let's try it again. Now, neatly with our technical language. Once client, if I whenever I type something Google, now first our ISP, Internet Service Provider, then DNS, then it leads to something called server. That is why if you put something called VPN in between, this VPN will change the address whenever it is going into DNS. That means even before, if it is not uh, your location, it will change your location so that even though that particular things were not acceptable in the location, it will give you different locations for the internet service provider itself. So you will get the results, obviously. Now, server, from server till now it is request. Now from server it has to respond, right? Your server will respond with something called your server will respond with something called HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These files will be given by server, and these files will be shown onto your server or onto your client, onto your browser. This HTML files, CSS files, and the JavaScript files will be shown on your page. Someone just mentioned, is JavaScript is enough to get a job without React if we have a career gap. Sorry to say, but actually JavaScript will give you good package. It's like, for example, if you know JavaScript well in depth, then you can learn React easily. You can learn Angular or Vue or any other thing easily. But present current market, you need to learn React if you are going for front end. Just by JavaScript, there are less chances. Possibility is there, but less chances. Okay. Now, this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will be given by server to client, right? Now, let's understand how your browser works. This browser got this HTML, CSS, and JS, right? Now, how actually browser works? How your browser will take this HTML files or this JS files or this CSS files and how they will check it. This is very in-depth topic. Try to understand. Like most people don't know this. Even the ones with experience don't know this. How actually browser works. How any browser works. Name the browsers you know. What were the browsers you know? Mainly we will use Chrome or we use Safari if you are iOS, or you may use something called Edge or Firefox or hmm, Internet Explorer is died, but good choice. In people stopped using it Internet Explorer long back. Someone in the comments they just, could you please give your LinkedIn ID? I can't give the LinkedIn IDs. Then after Internet Explorer, we have something called we have Brave, which is recent ones. Okay, which comes with default ad blocks. We have Vivigo or we have Tor. We have so many other, but technically we will work on this four only. Sometimes Opera. only this five we will mainly work upon, because most of the browser space or browsers market occupied by this four, this five. So people use this only mainly. In the mobile versions, many of them go with Opera, and the remaining versions they go with this. So our websites will fit for these things, or we will understand how this browsers works. Okay. Now let's see for React JS, basic JavaScript, something with asynchronous JavaScript is needed. Not too depth, but somewhat depth is enough. Now here, let's see. I open this Chrome. I think you know how the Chrome works. New tab, and where I think most of the people knows this. For the people who don't know, there is something called store in the Chrome. You guys know this? There is something called Chrome Web Store. Same like your Play Play Store in your mobile, there is something called Chrome Web Store in your particular Chrome. So not only Chrome, every browser. These days, browsers were so powerful. Browsers itself will work like something operating systems. So what the operating system will do? Operating system will have some memory, and they will allocate some uh, jobs. They will do some tasks, and at the same time, they have so many applications to install, right? And this all things will be done in by recent browsers, the recent updates of browsers. Now someone just mentioned it, can students with no knowledge in the HTML, CSS or any coding experience can see? If you are having no coding experience, you can join, but HTML, CSS are needed. Okay, basic HTML, CSS are mandatory in this. Now see, here I have so many extensions, I can install them. Now if you just install something called Google Translate, see here. Now if I just install this, what I will do, if I just go here, now if I go to any page, now this extension is there, all the extensions will be in this. Now if I go to any page, like if I go to Cisco, now if I go to any page where I can just write Google Translate, and here I can write. So I can just ask this page to translate, or any particular thing to translate into any particular one. Now let's just change to Greek. See the whole page converted into Greek. What did, what application did this all? This one done by an application called Google Translate, which I got it in the Google Web Store. You have thousands of applications in the Google Web Store which are free, so that you can make your browser work excellent. There is one particular browser called AdBlock, one particular extension called AdBlock. If you install AdBlock, there won't be any YouTube ads only. You have so many other things also, you can just explore into it. Okay, so in the browser only you can work nicely. If you open Mozilla, the same way in the Mozilla also you will have a store. Here also you can have extensions and all. Basically, you have something called Web Store, Mozilla, the same. Here we call it as add-ins. Now you can install whatever the add-ins you like, and that add-ins, not only add-ins, you will have themes, different color themes, different backgrounds, and all the things. Okay. Now, actually, how this browsers works, what is exactly happening backside of the browsers? That's what we are going to understand now. Now, let's understand this in depth, everyone. Inside your browser, now inside your browser, majority 30% will be done with something called data. You may call it data or data persistence. What is exactly browsers are used for? Browsers are used to get your data. Not only for internet. People think browser is for only internet. No, I think I can open PDF files with browser. See, if I open any PDF file, I can open the PDF files with browsers, right or not? I can open images with browsers. I can play songs. I can play movies in the browsers. You know, right? We can play it. So browsers are to show some data actually. Okay. Browsers has to show some data. Now here in this browser, most of the things will be done. I will explain my course structure also, don't worry. Most of the times it goes with data, and whatever you see in the website is called UI. What is UI, sir? User interface. That means whatever the nice, beautiful things you see, the website. The actual website you see is user interface, but back end of this user interface, the back end of the user interface, you have something called first one, you have something called browser engine. We will understand what this browser engine will do, what this and all. We have something called browser engine. Now, back end of this browser engine, you have some things like a render engine or rendering. Some work will happen called rendering. I will tell you what is this rendering. If you are looking forward to learn something called React and all, rendering is very, very important. Then you have rendering here, which will render the page, or you have something called JS engine or JS interpreter. JS interpreters will be there. And then some network is there for backend, and something timers also there. Some kind of time to apply, set timeout, set timings to make the things work for little bit slow, little bit fast. These things are there. Okay. Now, if we go somewhat back, how these things actually works is from the server, you will get some data, right? Because we requested. When we requested, we will get some data from the server. Now, this data is actually called raw data. Can anyone tell me, even in the online, what is mean by raw data? Raw data. What does it mean by raw data? Raw data means the one data which is in computer understandable ones, the basic ones, zeros and ones. The whole data with the zeros and ones, the binary, unprocessed data. Yes, it is completely understandable by machine, which is zeros and ones only. We can't even get it. And that too bit by bit. That is called raw data. Now, this raw data, first thing, it will become characterized. So what is this mean by characterized, sir? That means this raw data will be combined and will form characters. Like characters, na, A, B, C, numbers. This is where it comes one part. If you remember, when you do HTML, you will mention in top, you will something mention called UTF-8, char set, meta char set UTF-8. Okay, that is one of the character set. In Java, you will use something called ASCII values. Okay, ASCII character set. There are different character sets. UTF-8, or if I want my page in Chinese, I will mention Chinese there. If I want Japanese, I will mention Japanese there. Normal English and normal things, we will use UTF-8. So based on whatever the char set you define, based on that format, each and every bits here will be converted, will be grouped and will be converted into characters. Now characters happen now. Now these characters will be went to one stage called tokenization. Tokenization means characters will become as tokens. This is what the backend I'm just explaining. Okay, it's just a surface. Every developer should know this. Now, as we learning in depth, we will know this. Tokenization means these characters will be converted into tokens, like some tags H1, P, anchor, whatever the tags you do. So first characters, then characters converted into your tags or tokens. Clear? Any doubts? No. Now interesting part. Each and every tag will be converted into something called object. Now H1 is one object. That means tag name H1, title something, data something, yada, yada. And then P tag with one object or anchor tag one object. Like this, everything will be converted into objects, and all objects will be grouped in one object called a document. And this is called document object model. So whatever the tokenized data is there, the tokenized data will be make into each and every part one object, one tag as one object. That each one tag, each token is converted into object, and all objects will be combined in one thing called document object. That is called document object model. It's not over. From the document object model, a tree will be generated. We also call it building relation. A relation will be built up. I think you know document object model. When you learn HTML, you had a basic idea. Now, for example, if this were there, it will be done first HTML root, then you will have something called body. Now, inside the body, H1 is there, P is there. A tree will be generated. This tree is called DOM tree, right? Now, this one is parent, this one is child. You all know this, right? And this one is done at this step. The relation will be built up at this step, the DOM. Okay. Now, once this relationship is built, a DOM got built up. After this DOM, once document object model got built up with some relations. Now, H1B and all these things build up. Now, it will go for something called painting. That means it will paint on the browser. Painting means show or display. Now, it will first, before display, two more steps are there. It will parse into, it will parse means it will check into HTML and all. And then, is there any CSS? Is there any JS? It will check and include them. After that, it will paint or show. Okay. Now, another interesting point. If someone asks you, do we hard code HTML all the time? No, we don't write HTML all the time. The truth is, if you write something in React or Vue or any other JSS library or backend, everything on the front end will come as HTML only. Now, if you see Amazon.in, Amazon.in. Now, if I go here, inspect, I will see something HTML code, an image tag, a div tag, everything. But does that mean the people who developed Amazon, did they wrote everything in HTML and CSS in JavaScript? No. They will use some other framework, and that framework, when it comes to the browser will parse it into, that means convert it into HTML. Okay. And then it will show into that after this all process. This is all will be done in rendering. This is all happening in rendering. Okay. Whenever paint or show happens, paint or show will be given to browser engine. This browser engine actually will give details to user interface, and in the user interface, whatever painted will be shown. Okay, it's like this, from this to this and this to this. Now, let's understand another important thing. If you go for in-depth any interviews with JavaScript experience, they will ask this. There is something called CSS OM. Same like DOM, there is something called CSS object model. What is this, sir? Means for HTML, it will DOM will be passed into HTML, document object model. Similarly, whenever your browser reads CSS, your browser reads the CSS. Actually, your browser will understand CSS by C++. In JavaScript engine is there. There will be some JavaScript engines like V8 and all. For Chrome, we have V8 engines. These engines will work by C++. Using this C++, it will understand the CSS. It will understand, okay, this guy, already DOM tree is there. DOM tree is like this. Body, in this body H1 is there. In this body P is there. Now for this H1, is there any CSS? For this P, is there any CSS? It will understand using CSS object model. Then it will combine this. It will combine that CSS into each one. Okay. Now, if you want to work on some projects where we can refer particularly for JS, you have so many sources. I will mention it in tomorrow. You have GitHub and all other platforms where you can do collaboration projects. I will mention it all in the tomorrow's class. Now, so where we are, this CSS object model will combine with HTML DOM and will be parsed into total one given for painting, right? This is for HTML and CSS, right or not? Now there is another one called JS, JavaScript. You know what happens JavaScript in the browser? This JavaScript engine will check the JavaScript first actually. It will be checked in the JavaScript. Wherever the browser sees script tag, it will stop. It will stop DOM tree, it will stop CSS home. First, it will check the script tag. Because script has the power to manipulate DOM. Whatever you wrote it in the DOM, you can able to remove it, you can able to add new element, you can able to change everything using JavaScript. So the script tag, the JavaScript has that power. So whenever it sees JavaScript, first it will stop the DOM. First it will run the script and then it will go for DOM. Okay. And before script, CSS home will be there. So order is first CSS object model will be done, then script tags will be done, then DOM will be done. After this all combined and will be given for paint. And your browser will paint it. This is in detailed understanding of how browser works. Anyone in the online had any doubts regarding how this browsers things of whatever we discussed today? Any doubts? No. So how the browser works, we will see in the future classes. We will see what is document object model, where exactly that object stores, or how the object stores, how the JavaScript works, and all in detail. But till now, this is the point. I hope no doubts. Even in online, if you have doubts and all, you can mention it. Now, let's understand our course structure. What I can cover in these courses. And what projects I will use and all the things I will mention it here. Now, these were the topics we are going to discuss in this particular course in the next ones. Okay. Now, in-depth notes will be given soon. Don't worry. I will give the PDF of whatever we discussed. Okay. In soon, once the classroom got set up, we will have the notes. Now, what exactly we will cover in this one? We will have some basic JavaScript. How actually JavaScript works, or how actually the browsers works, how actually developer tools works, or inside the JavaScript variables, data types, operators. Okay, some JavaScript fundamentals like control flows and all. And after that, JavaScript objects and data structures, how different objects will work, or how the strings will work, numbers will work, or arrays work, what are the different methods in it, how can you manipulate. Just now we discussed, now we can manipulate JavaScript, how to manipulate. Each and every topic will be given with two projects, some normal projects. Okay, and then asynchronous JavaScript, where we discussed something advanced topics like callbacks, or promises, promise childs, event loops, and all, error handlings, debuggings, and far more advanced topics. We even discussed APIs, how to handle the APIs in the JavaScript, and how the different libraries works, like React or Vue. Okay, or different libraries, how they maintain the state management and how the routing happens in those. We will have a simple introduction of those things, not in depth of libraries actually. And one project will be given. Project will be one e-commerce website will be done. So because if you go with e-commerce website with the JavaScript knowledge of your own project with the e-commerce and the JavaScript knowledge, that is enough. Okay, I will share this particular one for the course P related ones. You can talk to the admin. Uh, Admin number is mentioned in the chart. You can just check it. You have the WhatsApp number. And then we will have one real world project like e-commerce website, something like Amazon, Flipkart. We will build something local. Okay, and I will show you how do you deploy. That means how do you create one hosting and how do you put these things in the Netlify or Vercel. If you really built it, when I am showing you project, if you also build it with me, you can deploy this particular app into the Netlify or some other things. Okay, that will be possible here. Okay, and with the deployment, the core structure will be done. Okay, it mainly focuses on basic JavaScript, advanced in-depth understanding of backend, and at the same time, some of the libraries will be included. Now, yes, after this JavaScript course, you can build up something like Amazon. For the payment integration and all, we will use some third-party websites, third-party libraries, JavaScript libraries. With the payment integration, you can able to make. Okay, but in the real world, when you take it, it has some complications. That one I will mention. Okay, but mainly we will cover it up. We will cover it up because the difference is this, guys. Whatever you built it here, that is for front end to show nicely. You can put the payment integration, but I will show you how the API works and all the things. But backend data is not there. Here, whatever you are discussing, one client side mainly. The backend, how it works, I will show you just how the node works. But here we are not discussing how the backend Java works. But if you understand this course, you can able to do understand React, Node, and all your wish. In that way, easily you will understand. Okay, how many days it will take for the course? Now the course is designed in such a way for the 45 days to complete. Course gonna take 45 days intact to complete. 5 plus more days may happen because of holidays or something. 5 or 10 days happen with the project. So if you take 50 days with the project, I can complete it. Okay, and you take another 10, and in 60 days you try to complete with the practice. I will complete the course will be completed in maximum of 45 to 50 days. But if you take another 10 days for your practice and 60 days, you can master in JavaScript. Okay. But still, it all depends on how much practice you do. Okay. That is for the complete course structure. In this 45 days, I can teach the JavaScript in depth. Okay. And is there any other doubts you have regarding JavaScript or whatever the things we discussed? Let me know. Not only for JavaScript, if you have any career related ones, any other doubts, or also you can just mention it to me regarding the front end ones. Okay, regarding the front end or the back end or the web development wise, I can suggest my best. Let me know if you have any doubts in the online. Any doubts? Online, any doubts? Someone just mentioned it. Class timings. So the class timings will start it from 7:30. So on and off with for 10 minutes. So 7:40 will be started class on sharp. Okay. And from 7:40 it will take it up to 8:40 or 8:50. Okay. The class will be. It depends. Some days I may prolong it for 10 more minutes. In some days the topics will be end 10 minutes before itself. Now, someone just mentioned it to me that they are working in ServiceNow admin in JS. How it will help is JS how help. See, JS will help you if you are already in ServiceNow. JS may not because I don't know exactly in the ServiceNow whether you are in developer or whether you are in just admin. If you are in admin one, JS will not give much backup. You need to learn something called networking mostly. Okay. Now if anyone wants a course fee structure or course, you can just ask the admin. Someone asked me, what are the skills required for a front end developer? Or how the transition from back end to front end or full stack? Because see, for the people who had no idea, I'm just giving a glance. For front end, in present scenarios, so basic HTML, CSS with JS knowledge and React, or as a fresher, you have to go with React or Vue or Angular. But if you are already going with experience, any two are mandatory. If you are fresher, any one is enough. If it is experienced, any two are mandatory. And with a little knowledge on uh, servers, uh, networks, servers, how these things works, and at the same time, databases like MongoDB and SQL have to be mandatory. If you are a fresher, you don't need this all. If you are experienced one, so you want to go with this all. For fresher, also network and servers is good option. And then if you are backend, in the backend, you have to learn any one programming language. Better learn something called Java or Java, something that is because that is so related to the JavaScript. Easily you will get it. Now you may have it something called Node.js, Node with Express. Okay, and database like MongoDB, as I told you. That is the skills for the backend that are enough actually. Learning one programming language, having with some basic knowledge in the SQL is enough for any type of backend. But if you are going UI backend, MongoDB with Node and Express, that are enough. Okay. If you are going for full stack there, it has some difficulties. So you have to learn front end perfect, back end some little bit knowledge is enough because if when you join as a fresher full stack they won't expect you directly go to backend. They will try to give you with front end only, then you will do this backend. one of the important skill for backend people or full stack is APIs. You have to know how to deal with the APIs. Now, someone just mentioned it. I'm a MVC backend developer, so I'm confused. This course is benefited to me. If you are MVC backend developer, I suspect it will be because MVC backend will completely different from when it how we go with this JavaScript backend. Because MVC structures you will go with mainly PHP or .NET and Java. Okay, we go with completely different framework from the MVCs. But understanding of JavaScript is actually will benefit you. Now, someone mentioned to me after completing your JavaScript course how much level of experience. That's what I told you. You can mention it. It depends on your practice. You can able to do see. You can able to do a real time project if you complete this course. That is for sure. Okay, that is for 100%. But how much experience you put is big. How much practice you did. And someone gave me something like they had a career gap and they have experience in the non IT, but they have interest to come into IT. For that IT full stack, you need to learn the JavaScript in the depth. Okay. So in these courses, I will explain it in depth so that you can directly go for the experience ones. In case I'm not suggesting you to go for fakes. Is jQuery covered in this course? jQuery is explained, Thoda, but jQuery is not covered because jQuery is not needed in the present day market. Now, present market is not having jQuery only. jQuery is dead by long back. Okay, so don't learn even jQuery if someone teaching you because mostly it won't be happen. If you are doing jQuery means maybe old projects you will help with in companies for jQuery. Presently, there were been any new with the jQuery ones. Okay. Now, for future reference, you can have the admin's numbers there. You can have it. Any doubts? You can mention it. Any doubts? Any other? Someone with new to front end don't have HTML and CSS. Uh, if you are not having HTML CSS, I recommend you to at least check some basics of HTML CSS. It won't take much more than 1 or 2 days for HTML CSS. Then you can come. You don't need to be master at it. Just basic knowledge will be needed. Will Node.js will be covered a little bit. Yes, Node.js will be covered a bit, not the complete ones. That means I will explain how the APIs works and the backend Node.js will works. That means I will send API, how the backend will receive it, how the database backend deals with. That things I will explain. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. We'll meet you all tomorrow. I will tell you the deployment process also at the end. Don't worry for someone doubt. Okay. And in case if you have any more doubts in tomorrow's class, we will discuss. Thank you all. And you can reach out the admin in the number is in the chat. Thank you.